That being said, we'll open up the floor to review the bylaw.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, we do need to elect new officers for this year before we proceed on to the meeting.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So at this time, we'll take nominations for office, new offices.
I nominate J.D. Young, continue as chairman.
Second. All right, the nomination has been on the floor for J.D. Young to continue as president. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all. Next position would be for the vice president.
Nominate David Beal.
Second?
Any other nominations on the floor? Okay, well, with that being said, David Beal has been nominated as vice president. All those in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Welcome, David. Next position will be for the secretary.
I nominate Lisa Zepp, continue.
Okay, it's been nominated and properly seconded that Lisa would continue to be secretary. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Okay, again, thank you all. And those are the primary positions, and we will proceed. We'll open the floor by talking about the, take a look at the review of bylaws. Thank you.
Yeah. So what you have on the screen are the original bylaws, and then the red line are changes that the committee suggested. And we never finalized the bylaws. I think the one item that I have a concern about and might suggest the committee consider amending is the determination of a quorum. Our attendance we have yet to, I think, reach 9 voting members in a single meeting, maybe once. And so we have operated without a quorum in any of those meetings. And so I guess since we didn't have any bylaws, it wasn't a major issue, but we have it here. And if these bylaws get adopted as written, I think we would struggle at any time to reach a quorum. So just something for the committee to consider.
Are all positions filled? Are there any vacancies?
They are all filled. The planning commission's second position, I believe, is filled. For those of you who don't know, George Weaver resigned from the planning commission and resigned from all of his county duties. And at the last planning commission meeting, Mr. Rollins was asked if he would be willing to share, and he was going to get back with the chair to confirm. And I don't know if that has happened yet, but I would suspect, I would say if he does agree, then that Mr. Weaver's slot would be filled. So we'd have 2 commission members, 2 board members, and then the citizens that have agreed to participate.
I don't think you have Matkina. Matkina's been in the wind and never responded or ever come.
So that's Mr. Thomas.
Right, but Mr. Rollins can fill.
Yeah, he could serve.
But
Yeah.
it's still on.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Lisa was saying there's only one Mattapan member.
Okay.
Mr. Hughes, and board, would it be appropriate or inappropriate maybe to send out an email to all of the members to maybe to give them an opportunity to either resign so that we can do a replacement of those individuals if they're not willing to serve capacity?
Yeah, was it 1 year term?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could certainly do that, and the appointment's for 1 year, so that's coming around.
And so we would start looking for replacements of those individuals that have really been coming.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I have a suggestion as far as the quorum is concerned, rather than requiring half of the members.
Right.
Just for thought, what would you think of requiring at least one member from 3 of the 5 magisterial districts? That way the majority of the districts are represented.
Sounds good, but can we get that? No, but a great
We got
suggestion.
it tonight,
Yeah,
yeah, so,
great suggestion.
and my only question is whether or not, and JD, you'd be the one speaking for him, whether or not you feel that the lack of a planning commission member should be enough to hold up being able to conduct business.
Shouldn't be.
I don't think it should, because, I mean, in the end, all we're doing is making recommendations.
Sure.
right? So the planning commission can do what they want to do, whether they have input to what we, our discussion or not.
Okay.
What you mean, do what we want to do?
Same with the board. Same with the board, the board does what they want to do regardless of what the.
Right.
You know, so I mean, it's like, we're just gonna make a recommendation.
Right.
Okay,
I agree with that. Is that a motion?
yes, so move that the quorum be established as at least one representative from 3 of the 5 magisterial districts.
I'll second that.
It's been moving properly. Second that. One member from each,
From 3 of the 5.
3 of the 5,
Correct.
districts, not districts, areas,
Magisterial.
magisterial districts.
Voting districts.
Oh, voting district, yeah, voting
You want both?
To make it, yeah, to be present to make a quorum meeting.
Six,
I thought we had 6.
six.
We do have
We do have 6.
voting districts.
Okay.
So are we still going with,
Yeah, let's keep,
that's 50%?
yeah, let's keep 3.
Yeah, 3 of the 5.
Six.
Okay.
3 of the 6.
voting.
Oh,
Yeah.
6. Okay. It's been a motion on the floor that 3 of the magisterial districts, of the 3 of the 6 magisterial districts, being present and presence to consist of a quorum. All those in favor of that, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks.
All right, I think,
And the only other thing, Leon, I know there was a large gap where our meetings were being regularly canceled.
mhm.
I don't know if that was due to absences, lack of anything to say. I know our work is sort of front-loaded with the 6-year plan and things like that as we get later in the year. We may not have anything to discuss. Rather than saying that we'll meet every month, I'd kind of like it to be we'll meet every month unless in conjunction with the planning director and the chairman, there's no need to meet.
Okay.
But then you have to cancel like you did last time. So you met January through June, right?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that to change the bylaws to create the authorization for the chair and the director to cancel. I think right now it says we meet every month.
Right.
Okay.
So he's just
Okay.
memorializing that authorization.
Okay.
And it wasn't because of absences, it was just there was a lack of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. We may run into that.
Persevere with it.
So, didn't want to call you out just to.
Smile at each other.
Yeah.
And I will say, as we embark on some projects, the major project that I see coming forward being the comp plan update, that hopefully that will change. So.
Okay.
But I think that's an excellent suggestion. Okay.
So moved.
Any other amendments or suggested amendments? Oh,
Motion on the floor.
I'm sorry.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
Okay. Been moving properly second that we would, the chairman and
Planning director.
the planning director would make a decision, whether we should have a meeting or not have a meeting based upon the materials that need to be presented. All those in favor, please say, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So, thank you. Okay. Anything else on the bylaws?
I think that was it.
Okay. Election of officers has been done.
Well, I would move that we adopt the bylaws as amended here tonight.
Should have been over here. Yes, sir. Thank you for that, though. Second.
Second, I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second that the bylaws be accepted as amended tonight. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next on the adoption of the calendar.
Move that the calendar be adopted as mailed, subject to the amendments made to the bylaws here tonight.
He's on.
And that
Is that a
was,
second?
well, just confirmation, that was maintaining the first Wednesday of each month at 6:30?
Yes.
Be glad to second.
Okay, thank you. So it's been moved and properly second that the calendar will say as the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30. With the inclusion of the amendment earlier, with all those in favor of that, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the February 5th minutes. We have them in front of us. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Are there any corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain from voting just because I wasn't here.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay. It's been moved properly second that we accept the minutes as written, recorded, and to be recorded for the February 5th, 2025. We accept those minutes as they are. All in favor? Please state by saying aye. Any opposed?
You can also abstain from that.
Okay. 2 abstain. Any nays? Ayes have it. Are there any updates?
Yeah, I do want to just provide you a brief update. So coming up, staff is going to take to the Planning Commission the the Ladysmith Bike and Pedestrian Plan for inclusion in Chapter 9 of the Comprehensive Plan. This plan was prepared by the GWRC staff a couple years ago and was going through the process, went to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission made a recommendation, but I think at about that time is when the solar things kind of kicked off here in Caroline, and so it kind of fell by the wayside and never proceeded to the board. And so at this point, we've decided to revive it and take it back to the process from the beginning. So it's going to go back to the Planning Commission. It's being updated to adjust, some of the statistical data that was in there that has since been updated through the federal reference documents and that kind of stuff. We might even, which I doubt, but with new GIS software, we might update 1 or 2 of the maps just because we can, and they will just look a little bit better. But in a nutshell, for the committee, the plan essentially establishes pedestrian and bike accommodations along Route 1 and along Route 639. And so you all remember Ladysmith is slated in the comp plan to be a village that is walkable, and this is the infrastructure that would allow that to occur. And to me, it's really important that those pedestrian accommodations happen along Route 1 and 639 because we have a fair amount of foot traffic on both of those roads. You also may recall as a part of our smart scale applications, we included pedestrian accommodations for the three intersections that we had along Route 1, Durrett, Pine, and it might have been, it escapes me, the third road. But anyway, we did have pedestrian accommodations as a part of those applications. I think we scaled it back a little bit because of the cost, but to no avail, they were not funded. So now we are, we need to get these into the plan because we do have some development interest in the Ladysmith area. And so if we get these pedestrian accommodations in the comp plan, then we can certainly look for some assistance from applicants who are coming along and doing projects in Ladysmith to hopefully, contribute to funding or even building some of these accommodations. So I just want to give you an update on that. That's moving forward. We have a meeting. I think it's going to be scheduled for Tuesday morning with GWRC staff to kind of, go over that plan again and, just be sure that it's up to snuff and move that forward. The other update is GWRC has been gracious enough to prepare a Carmel Church Village plan for us, and I will send this to you all electronically so you don't have to have it in paper copy if you don't want it. But this is a really good document. We're also going to discuss this. I've had an opportunity to go through and I've, provided my comments and suggestions to GWRC staff. I don't know why they couldn't read my handwritten notes, but so it's really going to be a meeting to get together and decipher my notes that I made. But I like the plan, and I think there's certainly one part of the plan at the very end. If you all look at it, it talks about the Route 207 301 corridor study that VDOT did for the county. And I will rely on people with more history here than myself, but it's my understanding that the county did not fully endorse that plan when it came through because it recommended a green T intersection at the intersection of Enterprise Drive and Route 207. For those of you all who are familiar, that's where the big new building just went up on 207 right across from Belmont. And the plan recommended that be a green T because she would come off of there and have a continuous lane for trucks to pick up speed and merge into traffic, essentially is what it is, synopsis. But since that time, we've had a proffer amendment to the Belmont North case was approved. And as a part of that amendment, the applicant proffered to construct the other leg of that intersection coming out of Belmont. So install traffic signals, install turn lanes on 207. So to make that a four-way intersection essentially. And so, the green T from my perspective does not match with those profit improvements. And I also, from my perspective, I don't think it's necessary to have a green T for trucks that are going to go another 3,000 feet and stop at a light. So, I don't know if anyone here has any history on the county's thoughts back when that came through, but that's what I understand is the county didn't support it. And this is not the first time that the VDOT folks have heard this because I've had this conversation with Kyle, a number of the VDOT folks on different occasions. But so that is in there, and that may get pulled out of this document or amended somehow. The other thing I think is really interesting about this document is the conversation it has about the potential rail stop in Caroline County. There's some, I think, some pretty strong language about a rail stop in Caroline County, and I would suggest we need to look at the state's 2050 plan and see how they have kind of softened their language relative to a rail stop in Carolina and maybe amend this document a little bit to reflect that. I think the way it's written right now, I don't think those two documents are in concert. So based on what the 2050 rail plan does. So, just, I'll send this to you. You can take a look at it. And we're going to have a conversation about it and we'll send it out to you guys. But I know the GWRC staff wants to move this along And so we will do that. And I don't think there, and Becky, do you know, are there any deadlines that you have
No.
to get this thing done? So it's possible we will,
Sort of a personal deadline of Carrie's.
okay, well, that's wonderful. So
To
then,
bring it to closure.
okay, so with
But
that
your comments are
said,
welcome, to, soften those, because, she gets excited about things like rail.
well, no, I,
Multimodal.
as do I, and I was really advocating to the state folks and the folks at VRE to kind of maintain the language in their 2050 plan about a stop in Caroline, but I think they felt like the lack of progress in the proposed project that would, have the rail stop. Just they felt like it'd been so many years and they didn't know it was going to come to fruition, so they really softened that language. So, which you can't argue with that. I mean, nothing has happened since the projects have been rezoned. So,
Would you want to wait to route it to us until you and Carrie have made those modifications?
yeah, I will. It'll be after
Good.
Tuesday, and then I'll send it to you guys, and then maybe if you want to have a discussion about it next month, then we can certainly talk about it. But yeah, I think it's a really good plan. I like it a lot, and so I just want you guys to be aware of that. And so, also, if you recall, last meeting, Carrie from GWRC came and gave us a presentation on the Rural Transportation Committee. And hopefully on Tuesday night, she will do a presentation, an information-only presentation to the Board of Supervisors to bring them along and up to speed on that proposal. I'm really excited about that coming to fruition, and I hope it does, because I think it's important for rural jurisdictions to have an independent voice, and have their unique needs addressed specifically outside of the rural jurisdictions that seem to get all of the attention. And so I will say, from history, many years back, probably 20 plus now, the rural transportation committees were very active in the Commonwealth. That's when there were a lot more funds available. And so I was in the Crater Planning District Commission at the time as a member jurisdiction. I wasn't working for them. I was in Prince George, and we had a very active rural transportation committee down there. So part of that PDC is much like this one. There were portions of Prince George and Dinwiddie and even Sussex were in the PDC, but were very rural. So that was very helpful to those jurisdictions to address needs outside of the urbanized area. So I'm excited about that. I think it's just, if nothing else, it will create an opportunity for the General Assembly at some point to find the need to put some funds out there. So that's kind of my update.
Any other updates?
Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Okay, let's move to new business. About this secondary 6-year plan.
Yeah. So Mr. Spurlock from VDOT is here to talk about the secondary 6-year plan. It is that time of year again, and
It is that time of year again, and a lot of these are coming around. And for those who don't know, the secondary 6-year plan happens in the spring of every year, and the SSYP consists of 2 types of funds, and that is unpaid road funds and telecommunication fees, or called telefees. The telefees are the fees collected for utility companies that have their lines in our right of way and stuff like that. Unpaid road funds are funds that come to the locality, and that is based on how many unpaid roads we have in the county. So that fund could come up or down every year based on the formula to figure out, the more roads we pave, the less of those types of funds you're going to receive. Unfortunately, this year, like last year, the telefees went down. So it shows, I can't read that, it's too far, 81,000 and some odd dollars for telefees was projected last year. Those went down about $12,000 a year, which is significant chunk when you're talking about 80,000, so that gave us a starting point. Okay, so number two. Mine too, but it's okay. So what you have in front of you is last year's plan, but what it was updated this afternoon based on the new numbers, the reduction of the $12,000 per year that I spoke of, and then the moving around the money to cover deficits or moving money that is surplus on each project. So priority one is Rattle Trap Road, which we just recently completed construction on. It has to stay in the plan this year because it has some 26 funds on it, which were added to cover an overage on the project. It ran over estimate a little bit. We had to put it out to one of our hired equipment guys where originally we had state forces were going to do it, so it came in a little high. Second was Caroline Street, and I'll have to talk about to our programming folks to see if this one can come off because this one, the $29,000 estimate, I think we had 90,000 on it, so we were able to move that 60,000 up to Rattle Trap to help cover that cost. This one, the transfers have been done in the generic module, we call it, so this one should be able to be closed out. The third one, I think, was added last year, possibly the year before, and that's a right turn lane on Devil's 3 jump. Unfortunately, this is showing funding being completed in 2028 with $1,200, but I think I can lower the estimate enough to cover that and pull it back into 27, which is actually next July. We'll be able to do the work. Lastly, on the second page is the countywide transportation services, and what that is, it's pretty much like the piggy bank of thing, money where it hasn't been allocated to a certain project is housed here. There is none in previous funds. In 26 and 27, there's less than $10,000, so it wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to get much of a project done on that, but there's 90,000 starting in 2028 and beyond. So if you wanted to look at adding a secondary project like paving an unpaved road or something like that, we could add it this year, but it wouldn't be funded until later years. So the second page, the last one on here is Farmer Drive, which is also complete, and that one will come off this year when we present the package to take to the public hearing and the board for approval. So the second page is the list of eligible unpaved roads in the county. The green ones are the ones that are eligible. The blue ones are the ones that are close. So the ones that are close, we would, we could go out and do a traffic count and see if those numbers are more favorable at this time. We're doing that on a couple projects right now. Liberty Fork being one, but we haven't got the results back yet, so those will be coming.
In order to qualify for the unpaved road funds, you have to have a traffic volume of at least 50 vehicles per day.
And also, I got an email that said some of these that are shown as unpaved might already be paved or hard surfaced.
Yeah, I looked at Mount Gideon Road. Interesting history on that road, but it looked to me like it was hard surfaced all the way.
Okay.
Unless there was a stretch, because it says from to 301, but it looked like that was hard surfaced. And then Beverly Run Road, the unpaved portion south of Lauraville Lane of secondary route 618, the name of it is Alps Road. And that is your 1.1 mile there south of Lauraville. So I think probably when you were doing road naming, since Beverly Run is north of I think Sparta Road, just the road name is different. But that looked like a real good candidate and has the good ADT to perhaps be a candidate if indeed Mount Gideon, if y'all agree, is hard surface currently.
Yeah, that's something now I'll have to review. I typically send this out to our headquarters. Say, hey, it's on this unpaved roads list. It's a been paved, because I don't see everything that goes on.
But interesting history about the home there at Mount Gideon.
Right.
I started picking up that as I was looking at it.
So as far as timing, what we would like to see is this to go to the board and public hearing. Do y'all have 2 meetings with the board every month or one?
Every other.
Every other?
Every other.
So we'd like to see this go in April or the 1st of May at the earliest. That way, that would give us time if somebody does speak at the public hearing and we need to go back and revisit something, that we have time to do that before it goes to the, I guess, for approval in June, early July timeframe. That's what we'd be looking at. So in the meantime, I guess I don't know if you all work with the board to suggest, possible additions to the secondary 6-year plan or for future projects, or if they have a turn lane somewhere that needs to be done, like Devil's Tree Jump, that can be done a little earlier than, a $300,000 project. That's the kind of things that's up to you guys and the board, And I'll typically work right through Leon, but without eating this stuff and let him pass it. But I literally just finished this afternoon, so I didn't have time to send something for the projector or anything, so.
Good job, Rick.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Smirnoff. One, who would, because I'm getting phone calls constantly about, of course, streets being tore up and various things of that nature. But we have an issue with Old Don Boulevard, not far from you. You're familiar with it. I get a call every week or so about that. Y'all have done some work there, and I just from my looking at it, it appears that it's just a drainage issue for the most part. I think the ditches have been cleaned and different things. Y'all have, put some stone in there and different things. But they sent me some pictures the other day, and the road was crumbling quite a bit, as well as the water was pretty much across the road. So cars are going around it, which causes some dangerous blind spots. And for some reason, that area, that little side street gets more traffic than people using that as a shortcut. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'll say on this is Old Don Boulevard, correct?
Yes.
Yep. So we got some of the same phone calls. I got the guys, our crews, to check out on the drainage issues. First, I've heard that piece, but I know that pavement has had some issues.
Yeah.
So we are planning to do some more substantial patchwork once the weather gets a little bit better. And it's actually on our resurfacing schedule for this year. So they'll come through, they'll do a fresh surface treatment all up and down the entire length of that road after we do some extra patching.
I think we got 3 houses on that road.
There's not much, but like you said, it gets quite a bit of traffic.
It gets a lot of traffic.
A few houses.
Yeah, but those 3 houses, I get called.
Have you on speed dial?
Is that from 30 to 301? That cut?
Yes.
Because you go and dump your trash and then you miss the light and you take the cut road.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Cut in the corner.
Fortunately, these type funds can't be used for that. That is maintenance funding, so that would be this guy, his budget.
Yeah.
So Rick, based on Becky's comments,
We're gonna do
and 50 vehicles per day,
substantial patching.
rattle trap's already in the plan,
And then we're going to come through with
and
surface.
Mount Gideon is hard surface. Our discussion is really just based around Beverly Run or Herring Creek, right?
Andrew.
Right.
Thank you.
I looked at Herring Creek Road, and it's really just a road that there's a really good normal way, the paved road goes Herring Creek to Camp to Courtney, and so the unpaved part of Herring Creek is almost like a cut around like Old Dawn, and really there's just a hunt club on that road and a big beautiful farm field, and one house, maybe 1 or 2 houses, and the hunt club. So I was thinking that maybe even the hunt club people and the farmer in the house probably might not want it to be hard surface. Whereas Alps Road, where the southern leg of Beverly Run, it looks like there's a equestrian or horse breeding farm or something down there. And the road's in good shape. It's a good paved in place candidate. But the
And you found that distance to be correct? So I guess that leads me to my next question is, so we got about 300,000 to allocate within the 6-year plan, 292. Is that enough to put Beverly on the plan this year, or do we need to wait a year to have more funds to add that since it's over?
I would probably wait. I was just looking at the centerline miles, and it's a mile and a half long that route. And I just did a quick per mile, and you're looking at a little over $500,000 to upgrade that, and you're getting 69,000 a year. So it's, that took 7-8 years to fund it. So it's almost like not a good candidate. Hopefully in the future these funds go up. And it's based on, like I say, the telecommunications, the companies that are in our right of way have to pay a fee to be there. I'm surprised it went down. I mean, I see, fiber optic lines going everywhere, so I don't know how it did, but there's supposed to be information coming out from our central office explaining, what happened and what they plan to do and all that. It's more to come on that.
I would tend to agree with you that Beverly Run would be, but I don't think there's enough money in the plan to put it in the plan this year, unless we were going to say, well, let's just pay half of it, and then we'll do another half in 3 years.
There's sort of a logical, maybe if you drive it, Rick.
Yeah.
Like I say, the most traffic would maybe be less than that where that dead end is. There may be a logical break point.
The only thing I would caution against that is if you go out there and you pay a little bit to people that live down there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not going to get out there for 2 or 3 more years.
Yeah, it might just be that the end state maintenance is past any driveways, as I recall. But anyway, maybe just a viewing of that.
I'll certainly go look at it.
Yeah. There's certainly good news that Mount Gideon, need something to confirm that, but that was really great to see that pretty land on all these roads.
So the Devil's 3 Jump project, are we looking at that being done in 28?
I think the funding is shown the last of the funding is shown in 28. This was done by programming this afternoon just to cover the total estimate, but I don't think I'm gonna need that. Another thing about Devil's 3 Jump, and if you wanted to save a little bit of money on that, is I got like two separate estimates, because if you look at the area when you come out of high school, there are 2, entrances or exit points. One of them's like 250 feet from Route 207, and one's like 500 feet. So the 500-foot one is the one that was estimated at 150. So if you wanted to go back and scale that back, you could probably save about 150 or so. I mean, 75,000 or so on that. And that didn't get you a whole lot closer.
That's the question.
What were we doing there? We're putting the turn lane on Devil's 3 Jump, so you have 3 lanes.
But you'd have right turn lane.
So dedicated through, dedicated right.
Yeah.
And then the receiving lane.
Yeah, correct. It'll be through left, I guess.
Yeah.
So right now, I think the problem is when school gets out and all the people, it just takes one to turn left there and blocks up the whole
Okay.
area.
Let me ask you a question.
So so you're saying if we shorten it up, instead of making it 500 feet long, we get 200 feet?
250, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Shorten it up.
Okay, so let me ask the really big question. If the county wanted to get into exploring administering projects, do you think this would be a good candidate project to start that on?
I think it would have to be redone, because when we build a project in the system, we had to tell it things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was set up as VDOT administered. I'm not sure what it'd take to change that at this point.
Well,
But it is a temporary UPC, so there are things that can change before they make it permanent.
Yeah. My only hesitation is, I would imagine, Rick, we're probably gonna do this project either as a minimum plan or a no plan project, which makes it quick and simple. I don't know if there's an avenue to do that via an LAP. Okay. My only hesitation.
Yeah, we're gonna build it with our hired equipment contractor.
Okay.
Same one that did the Carolina barbecue.
Okay, all right. I only ask because we are exploring that. We have people who've gone to the LAP class, and so, you know, we're trying to think ahead a little bit. And, you know, I thought maybe this was a small project, you know, get our feet wet with something small.
Yeah.
And
Are you gonna minister the days, the economic or recreational development or whatever? That, or was that just study?
Well, it was a study and plans were prepared. I don't know if we want to start something like that. That's a pretty significant project. That's what I said, you know, it's something like a turn lane project, you know, where if the board decided at some point to dedicate some funds to get something done, you know,
I think it's probably one we could ask some questions about and see. I just want to be careful of either, if we go that route, if it either increases the cost or increases the timeline, then we might want to have a conversation about whether that's the best path.
Well, when you say you're going to do it with your funds and you're going to do it with no plan, I say let's do it the way you guys are going to do it, because it'll get done probably a lot faster. So.
Yeah, this project, I mean, it's literally, I've already got the estimate from the contractor, and he's scheduled 2 days to do it, you know. He was only, you know, our concrete contractor was out in Carolina barbecue for 3, the third day just being cleanup, and the paving was 2 days, so 5 days, that whole turn lane's built there. So, still needs to be striped, but that's on the schedule this week.
I don't want to make it any longer, any more difficult. I'm just, you know, just asking questions.
So also, if you do want to administer projects in the future and stuff like that, you know, our other counties, Spotsylvania and Stafford, they both do it, and we have, I guess, monthly coordination meetings with them to go over the projects and see if they're stumbling anywhere or anything like that, or need assistance with anything. So it's not like you'd just be, okay, you want it, here it is. You know, so we assist as we could.
I can imagine if Caroline did, we would probably end up having a consultant firm do it and, you know, manage it. But it's something to think about. So, but we're trying to figure out a way to get some things done, and in the future, if we can do it faster, if we can do a little bit less cost, we just want to be prepared to do that. Okay.
Thank you. Anything else we need to add to that?
No, I was going to say action item for the committee is what I was looking for. Is there one, Rick?
I would just have to, like, make sure this gets updated and it gets to you to put, you know, your board package together for whenever you want to set that meeting up. Like I said, it's got to be public hearing, and that has to be posted, and I can get you all those timelines. And what did you? Well, you did it last year, right? So I mean, just same process.
So I guess for our standpoint, the question at this point would be, is there a desire to add any projects into the secondary 6-year plan this year?
I'm not aware of any. My thought would be we make a recommendation just to park the funds and add something next year. Unless there's a logical turnaround on Beverly Road, perhaps.
And I'll forward it to you and Leon, and they'll be able to get out there to everybody else.
Send it to Lisa.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, if you're going to send it within the next couple of days, be sure you copy me, because Lisa's going to be out.
I don't know if I can make that tomorrow. I'm certain about next week.
And we want transportation committee folks to come to that public hearing?
I don't know if there's any need for you guys to come to the public hearing, save yourself that night.
Typically, nobody from the public comes up.
Okay.
It's just a real quick, real quick meeting.
That's nice. Andrew.
Exactly.
That's really nice.
So, you remember the road Miss Long had on her mind last year? It was like 6 or 7 houses on it. Name escapes me right now.
Yeah, I vaguely remember what you're talking about. I don't recall the name of the road, to be honest.
But that was a pretty good distance of a road, and so I'm not sure we have the money to do that road. I mean, she was interested in trying to get it on the 6-year plan. But
You gotta remember, unless it has 50 vehicles a day, you're gonna be limited to only using telefees and no unpaved road fund.
I think it did have 50 vehicles. It had like 8 or 9 houses.
Currently in the state system, if it's not currently in the state system, it has to meet other criteria too. Like the road has to have been there for 20 years, available for public use. No gates or guardhouses or anything.
That's what I was trying to remember, whether it was a rural addition or one that was already in the system. I can't recall, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at my notes and see. I just want to be sure that we didn't overlook that road.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, certainly if it's eligible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one we could
take the plan forward and say, and she asked the question why her road is not on there.
Right.
But it was a significant amount of distance, so I'm not so sure we have the funds to do anything with it.
Right.
But it might be a private road. Might not be on the,
Yeah, this one doesn't capture private roads. This is just
Yeah.
from route number.
It's got very common. That name's gonna pop. Soon as me to know it.
You can email it to us.
Mhm.
Your is, we'll
Yeah.
take a peek.
Okay.
I have a question. Where are we with the scheduling for the shoulder hardening? I thought we had discussed that last year, talking about maybe doing some shoulder hardening on the secondary roads.
So I know, I'm trying to recall exactly what we said last year. So last year, we did talk about it, and there is currently a VDOT program through the Highway Safety Improvement Program that's identifying rural roads that have a significant crash history and doing sections of shoulder hardening in those areas. I think we also at one point talked about, certainly right now with both Stafford and Spotsylvania, we have programs set up where they are providing local funds, or in some cases, I guess you could also use secondary 6-year plan funds to do some of that shoulder hardening as well. So in Caroline, the only shoulder hardening that would be happening is through that safety program, which is very data-based. Certainly if either the county had local funds or wanted to try and discuss using secondary 6-year plan funds for shoulder hardening, that's something we could talk about.
Well, I want to personally thank y'all for the brush cutback on Oxford Road.
Okay.
That, my God, made a big difference. Now, the only other complaint that I have is y'all can help me with that farmer and put my ditches back on Oxford Road.
On Oxford. Okay.
Yeah. The farmer has planted all the way to, y'all sent someone out, a young lady, but I don't remember her name. I don't know who that was. She came out and looked at it, but we have not got any follow-up. But
Okay.
he has planted all the way to the road, way past easements and everything. So
Okay. That is something we deal with on occasion in different areas. I haven't heard about the one in Oxford, but I can check into that.
so you can hear some more if you want.
Well, I don't doubt
It's just not me. It's really what happens is now he plants corn right there,
Right.
and the corn is in the road.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
even the landowner has talked to the farmer. They have. I don't understand how that happens, but
I'd be concerned for your ability to see.
oh, it's definitely a hazard.
In the drainage ditches, he's filled in the ditch.
Yeah, well, there are no
No
ditches.
ditch.
Right, there are no ditches.
The road is-
He's eradicated those.
We have some other roads where we run into similar issues, but I'll check with the crew and see where that one landed.
Okay, thank you. Any other concern? Do I hear a motion? To adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
It's been, moved and properly second that we adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please notify.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Y'all have a good evening and
You
be
too.
safe out there.
Yeah.
Thank you all again.